cars achieved. In the first full year in business of 2015, we washed 419,000 cars. January 23rd, 2016, an email from my sister. We're blessed with great weather today. Yesterday, wonderful forecast. Great pleasure to inform you that we broke a 30-plus year record. The record of total cars washed was held by Tom Essenberg, 2505 and 2506. He did that back-to-back 2 days many, many years ago. Yesterday, the record was broken. The Waverly team washed 2601. That evening, on January 23rd, that night, they broke that record again, back-to-back. 2639 cars washed on the screen there, 2 days back-to-back. February 6th, just a few days later, new company record, 210 cars in 1 hour, our peak hour we've ever washed. February 19th, just a couple days after that, broke the record again, new day record, 2913 cars in a single day. So numbers are great, but we want to not hit records. We want to do it all the time. So we put on a push with our team for consistency. And how can we not just hit peak hours? We want to hit consistent peak hours. And they hit 9 consecutive hours in a row, exceeding 190 cars an hour washed. Now, of course, dollars are the true indicator, not numbers and car counts. And total wash revenue for 2015 was $2.5 million in the first year open. A total car count of 419,000 is a $6.11 net average. There's different ways to calculate ticket average. We do the bottom number, meaning after employee washes, free washes, coupons, re-washes, things like that. That's dollars divided by washes. Now, another interesting phenomenon a little bit that we're trying to understand is that we had 3 locations in 2014, and the true test was, what is our citywide car count? We had 532,000 cars washed between 3 locations in 2014. This is a city where we, one city of our operations. In 2015, we added the 4th location with a total car count in that city of 855,000, or a net increase of 323, knowing we were going to take a little bit from some of the existing stores, or increase of 60% in car count by building a 4th location nearly on top of ourselves. So now you understand this is important. I believe you too can achieve these results, and that's our quest to figure out how to replicate this consistently. And I believe it's all about fundamentals executed properly. The first fundamental I'm going to talk about is branding. A brand is not just a logo, a website, or your business cards, and it's an experience. And branding is one of the elements that we think helped us get to this level. Multi-site environment is important. That's where we get brand value that contribute to each other. It's not something that can happen overnight. Our washes were founded in 1969, so we've been building brand for many, many years and building a reputation to tie to that brand. So when we opened this new location, we had club members and we had raving fan customers right out the gate. In fact, I think it was our 3rd day open was our first 1,000-car day. So we had a jump start there. Consistency is what people like about brands. Southwest Airlines, McDonald's, maybe not good, but very consistent. And that connects to your brand. Experience is a key to trigger people's memory to a positive brand. The environment, we'll talk more about how we try to make the experience going through the car wash to enlighten people and to get them excited, and that can tie to your brand. The building itself, we've realized, is a brand. We have a very iconic looking facilities, and we realized that between 2 locations that are about 35 minutes apart, we have a little crossover. They actually have different brands on the facilities, and people recognize that as a brand itself. The next fundamental, and my favorite, and probably the biggest failure at most existing car washes today, where everybody's falling short, and I think our biggest strength where we achieve this is processing. The world is changing very fast. Big will not beat small anymore. It will be the fast beating the slow. Processing requires 2 things, ability and skill. Ability is having the right equipment, wraparound brushes that can follow cars at 210 cars an hour, enough dryers to dry a car when you're going that fast, having things in the facility like our down in, down out design that we can load quickly and we can dump people out the end as fast as we can. And the bright wash bay makes the transition of light seamless, things like that. And then it takes skill. Many people that would have that many cars in line, have difficulty getting them through. So the skill is the talent of the team, ability to be non-dramatic. Today we have, now that we've done this, 2,900 cars in a day, when we get a 1,500 to 2,000 car day, they look like, man, easy. It's manageable. It's not chaotic. It's not dramatic. That takes talent and skill with the team. Other things that relate to processing, a 3-lane point of sale system that feeds the tunnel. That way, if somebody has a fumble at one of the lanes, we never miss a car in the queue. We can't afford to miss a car at those speeds. So 3 lanes keep it full. We wouldn't go 2 lanes typically if we don't have to, unless it's a site restriction, but 2 lanes, you might have occasional where you miss a car. And 4 lanes we don't like because the car moves forward too slowly. So you're in a 3-lane, you're moving forward once every 3 cars. In a 4-lane, it gets to be like you're not progressing. Streamlined menu design. Many menus in the industry are not very well designed, and that costs processing time. The loader's the MVP. We can tell instantly who we have loading, and today we qualify and train loaders to a certain level of training before they're allowed to load cars. It sounds like a simple task. It's not. It's the difference of 160 cars an hour or 210 cars an hour. So when we have a busy day, it's all about the loader. We never would prep the car. At these speeds, we don't have time to prep the car. We don't need to prep the car. We do it automatic with an auto prep arch, we call it. And at these processing speeds, I'll show you in a minute, cars just fly in. Processing creates volume. I want you to think about that for a second. I mean that in a literal sense. Processing creates volume, not just that the cars are on the site and you're going to get them through faster. It's the customer knows that they can get through fast all the time, and they make a conscious decision to wash more often. They maybe have 5 minutes on the way to work. They're going to pull in because they know that they can get through in and out quick. Maximizing the big days is a principle that it's a little different in different regions of the country. But in Michigan, we used to say the 6 best days of the month was half our volume. So it's all about maximizing. And when you have the cars, when the weather's right, you got to be able to get them through. And then there's a trained customer base. You really have to train your customers, and we've done that, of course, over 40 years. They actually self-load when it's not a very busy day. We self-load with no attendant out there. And customers don't screw up when they know what they're doing, and they do it more often. So creating frequency club customers helps everything. We all know how to go to McDonald's today. We pull in through the right, we look, stop, we go around the back, pick up at the window. That's what you have to be able to get to with a car wash where you have well-trained customers. It actually is smoother when it's busy, we find, because they're following the leader, they're paying more attention, they're not on their cell phone. There's more cars, they had to wait in line, they know it's busy today, they're going to try to do things right. And so we have less issues when it's busy. On a busy day, we'll put a loader out, and we'll pull cars as tight as we can get them, usually 3 to 4 feet apart. We can get them tighter on the belt than you ever could on a chain and roller conveyor, and we get them consistently. So we actually can run the conveyor. We run it fast, but we don't have to run it extreme fast like you would on a chain and roller conveyor, because we can get the cars tighter consistently, and that's what matters most. Quick Trip taught us really the principle of critical density, and that when they go into a market, they know how many stores they need to dominate. And they typically won't go into that market until they identify those locations, and they can roll out the full rollout to dominate that market. And when they say that when they hit that critical mass, their per store sales would nearly double or dramatic increase. So they want to get to that critical mass level. And I believe a little bit in building near yourself before someone else does. I tell people, if you're on a busy road and there's no car washes, you want to probably build them 3 miles apart from each other where you build 2 sites, because if you put them 4 miles apart, you'll probably find somebody in the middle. So it's good to build a little bit closer than you would think. And what I think is that some of them backfed into the other locations. So we increased our pie and added new believers, and now they're washing at other locations. Infrastructure development is important. Today, this is a hands-on business. We believe, so we build a little more upscale facilities, larger, we have more team involved. And at 2 to 3 locations, you're at the point you need and can have an infrastructure, which is an accountant, a marketing person, and a maintenance person or maintenance team, and your own truck on the road, probably servicing if you need to. That's typically when locations get a little bit older, but some of our locations are older, so we have a maintenance crew. And at that point, you become completely self-sufficient, and you can operate with your own infrastructure if you're close together. If you've got sites in Michigan, Florida, and Texas, then that becomes more difficult. A fundamental of obviously one is turning out the best clean, shiny, dry result of the car. Customers may forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And key word there is about the feeling of a clean car. We believe that it's not the clean car that the person really loves and is going to remember your brand by. It's the feeling the clean car gave them. That's why they came into the wash. Shininess of the vehicle, that's a chemistry thing, but it extremely separates the best from the average car washes in the country. And customers do notice. Now, they may not be able to explain what they notice, but they can tell there's a difference, and you can see the glow of a vehicle that was washed well with the right chemistry. Drying is one of the hardest as well to achieve at these high speeds, and there's exponentially diminishing returns, which is depressing, but basically we say about 80% of your drying is done by, or the amount of blowers it takes to dry 80%. It's going to take you that much again to dry the next 15% and even more to dry the last 5%. So you have to have the right amount of horsepower, and you measure that really in horsepower. This site has 180 horsepower, 1810 horsepower. The next fundamental is understanding what customers love about your wash. Walt Disney said, do what you do so well that they will want to see it and bring their friends. And we ask our customers for feedback. We want to know, what do you love about this car wash? The number one answer is always the belt conveyor. It's the loading experience. It's the less intimidating factor. It's not trying to line up with the guide rails and the mirror, and you're taking that drama out of it. So they love the belt conveyor. They also say they love the drying huggers. What's pictured here is a brush that comes in. It kisses the mirror and the side window only. We don't use any on the top of the vehicle because it's too high risk. Out of 2,000 plus cars a day, any smudge or anything on a car that would get caught in there or a dampness built up, you're going to smear a windshield, and it does happen. You would see a mark, and it's right in the customer's view, and they're going to be dissatisfied. So we do the tops with heat. You can kind of see in the top left corner, and we hit the sides with this brush that kind of hand finish the mirror and the side window. We run a consistent speed. We believe customers love that. We don't typically slow down on a slow day. We run consistently fast all the time. They can get in and out quick. They love the bright, spacious environment. You can see in there, and it's a clear roof, acrylic roof system we utilize that's going to make that environment, and customers love that no claustrophobic feeling where they can go through the wash. The inspiration and fun factor, of course, more for the kids, and they have to wash all the time with their club membership program. In the overall experience, safe, bright, but most importantly, low stress and low hassle. It's not dramatic. I'll talk about upsells. We don't really push upsells. We're not, even sometimes we find that when you don't put a loader out, customers will at times load smoother. They don't want to be watched. They don't want to, if they're intimidated and they're scared, the last thing they want is somebody seeing them screw up. So we place our staff, when we are self-loading, they're in a place we call the flight deck, and they're right behind the glass. And they can jump out there if need be, but they're monitoring actively, keeping an eye on it, but they're not standing right there telling the customer what to do. So it's a low-stress environment. The next fundamental, marketing. Market hard, sell soft. Marketing from the grand opening through social media and professionally responding and promptly responding to customers. Brand development, no pushy upsells. And there's also economies of scale of marketing. So in this small town where we have 4 locations, we're able to run TV commercials, do couponing, and it contributes to the greater whole, back to that value of critical density there. People, an obvious fundamental of a successful car wash. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Uniforms are mandatory. It's a simple fundamental, but it seems very much overlooked, and people trip over $500 and miss millions in the professionalism of your brand and your look. And career standards is really what you're implying to your team, that this is important, and that they have, again, a job description here, and they're not just a cashier. They are a career person at this car wash, and we provide places for them to work up through the ranks and become managers, night managers, assistant managers, regional directors, all that kind of thing. So we want to make sure that they perceive it that way. And also with that, we do multiple interviews and qualification, and we also run a predictive index system of qualifying our team. Interviews is something that, I always say easy come, easy go. So we never hire somebody on the spot typically. And multiple interviews are better. Make sure you feel confident. Multiple people interviewing and filtering out the team. I think it was Google that does 17 interviews minimum or something like that. And it's odds are somebody's not going to walk away so easily from a job they had to go through 17 interviews to get. So a little bit of it's barrier to entry. And even if we know we're going to hire somebody after the first interview, we'll do 2 or 3 anyway. Again, to make it that this is a real career, please take it seriously. Equipment should deliver the product. People deliver the experience. So in the wash, we make decisions using that logic. Again, we don't want to ever prep the car. That's actually delivering the service the customer paid for. That should be done with the equipment. We would never hand towel the car. That has to be done with the equipment. We want everything that delivers the product to the customer automated. Now, it doesn't mean we have to cut labor. We can still have the same amount of labor, but we'll utilize them in the vacuum center to greet customers. How was your wash today? And to work the property also, sometimes we'll do, when we start up, we'll do pre-selling up front to explain the process, explain the belt, things like that. We want to not necessarily have to be extremely low labor, but a 3-person operation, and people can be free to deliver an experience. Another fundamental is smart design. The details are not the details, they make the design. Look, smart design we've integrated in the last few years into the back room and other pieces of equipment where we're trying to pre-plumb and pre-wire things. We can reduce the scope of the field team, like the electricians and the plumbers. We can save money. We can do it consistently for a same price more efficiently than trying to train electricians and plumbers, and especially in different types of car washes. So we do more in-house and avoid reinventing the wheel. Some intangible values that I can't define, but they're things that are fundamentals of washing this amount of cars. We'll call the intangibles. Here we've incorporated, we kind of took from Quick Trip a stand-up manager's office instead of having a room with a sit-down desk. So they stand up and they're facing both cars loading as well as the area where a customer would approach. If somebody was coming from the vacuums, they'd be coming in that way, and the manager can catch them before they approach the inside the wash. Understand that soap is a system, and chemistry is one of the hardest things to achieve. We say of getting a clean, shine, dry vehicle, 50% of its chemistry. So you can do everything right with your equipment package, and if your chemistry is not right, you're not going to have a good car. There's a new factor. I don't think that today we could take our old washes. It would be difficult to wash 400,000 cars. So there is something about the newness of this facility we built. I don't know how to replicate that other than just building new places, and I guess that's kind of the Quick Trip model where they tear down old ones and build new ones. And McDonald's has led us all in that logic of, hey, this place is old and inefficient, so let's tear it down and start over. That's difficult to swallow. We struggle with it in our own company, but with a wash that's paid off, and how do we go to tear it down and build a new one? But it's certainly a factor in how we achieve the 400,000 cars. Location. Try not to find yourself 500 feet from a profit. That's a quote by Brian Hoban. Site selection. It's 2 things again, analytics and emotion. We can do the analytics all day long. We have to feel good about the site. This particular location, which is the Waverly site, we've owned for about 15 years, so we were kind of committed already. I don't think we looked at any demographics or traffic flow. It's our hometown, we know it, and we just built it, and we felt good about it. Often we have to follow the analytics and study the traffic counts. I always ask the question, who are you bidding against? If the lot's been for sale for 2 years and it's a good price, it's probably not the right site. So if you're bidding against a Chick-fil-A or a Walgreens or a McDonald's, you're probably looking at the right location. Certainly not the cheapest location. If you got a deal on it, again, beware. Think about amortization when it comes to site selection. If it's a couple $100,000 to get a better site and you have 2 options, you do the numbers over 30 years and you figure out how many cars a day that is. It's next to nothing. Interesting thing, we've all been hammered in our heads, location, location, location. But I will argue that the product is greater than the location. And often, if you put a in-bay automatic, for example, on an A site, it's not going to wash 210 cars an hour or 400,000 cars a year. It's the wrong product. And so that can really harm it. And I got this understanding from our local hometown. We had a Ruby Tuesdays restaurant. It was built on, is a B plus site maybe. It was okay. They ran it through 2-3 years probably, closed it, went out of business. Somebody came in, built a Buffalo Wild Wings. Today it's a Jammin' Buffalo Wild Wings on the same property. People will find it when the product is the right product. I do believe this is the ultimate business. For many years I warned people that it's difficult, that's highly mechanical, you have to be aware of that. But then I realized, you know what, dealing with machinery is predictable. You can manage it, you can do preventative maintenance, and it's certainly easier than dealing with people. You just have to get good at it and know what you're getting into. Transformational product, you can see this is exciting because changing oil, you don't really excite the customer and you can't excite yourself. And we have oil changes, but you know, it's not something that you can transform. Feeding somebody's a necessity. It's not really fun to have food. You give somebody food, they're fed, but you can't really see the transformation, and it's something they had to do. The car wash is a great business because we can see, we take a car in dirty, we bring it out clean, the customer's happy and smiling, and it's something that's gratifying for everybody. And it's also something they didn't have to do, so they're not bitter about it like getting their oil changed. They're excited to get their car washed. A medium ticket is a nice price point. We're not a dollar store with no margins, and we're not doing $1 million construction projects with liabilities and attorneys and things like that. A car wash is the ultimate average ticket there. Recession-proof, many say, low risk of disruption. It's a service business instead of a sales business is great. Assets and real estate are great. No